Level 1. Yorka, the errand boy. You're 15. Sub-zero wind cracks your lips before you even exhale. You are a Yorka, a 6. In the ancient hierarchy of the Soviet card games, the 6 is the absolute lowest, most utterly useless card in the deck. You have exactly 11 minutes. You are standing in the frozen mud of a sprawling open-air Moscow market. You are holding a heavy nylon duffel bag containing 800,000 rubles of extorted cash. If you do not deliver this bag to the counting house across the avenue in 11 minutes, the Oman Riot Police will initiate a sector-wide sweep, and you will take a mandatory 10-year sentence for men who do not even know your last name. You freeze. A rival street punk steps out from behind a rusted shipping container, a 5-inch switchblade gleaming in the harsh amber light of the street lamp. A live, unpredictable threat. Your chest tightens. You cannot breathe. A heavy, calloused hand wraps around the punk's wrist, twisting it until the knife clatters onto the frozen asphalt. It is Volkov, an older, broad-shouldered Buvik. He has a ragged, thick burn scar directly across his vocal cords, making his voice a wet, terrifying rasp. He kicks the punk into the snow. Walk, Volkov rasps. You walk. You survive. In the alley, Volkov pulls out a tarnished silver lighter with a chipped red Soviet star. He lights a cheap cigarette. He looks at you. The street is for dogs. The code is for men, he whispers. You look at him with absolute reverence. You want the black leather jacket. You believe the syndicate is a brotherhood that will elevate you from the poverty of the concrete blocks. You don't realize it is a bureaucratic meat grinder designed to consume your soul. Meanwhile, Major Sokolov, Federal Security Service, FSB, Organized Crime Division. He stands in the frozen mud of the market, looking at the dropped switchblade. He rhythmically rolls a heavy brass 10-ruble coin across the knuckles of his right hand. Coin over knuckle, coin over knuckle. They are using the street orphans to move the obshchak, he says to the freezing air. The brass coin glints in the light. The board is set. Level 2. Torpedo/Bovik, the muscle. You're 19. Shattered glass crunches beneath your heavy combat boots. You have graduated from the freezing sidewalks. You are a Bovik, a torpedo. You are the blunt, unthinking, kinetic instrument of the Bratva's economic expansion. You have exactly 4 minutes. You are standing in the service hallway of a high-end Georgian restaurant. If the target, a logistics manager for a local import firm who refused to pay his Krisha protection tax, reaches his armored car in 4 minutes, the debt is voided, and your squad leader will hold you financially responsible for the loss. The target walks through the kitchen door. You move. A massive 250-pound private bodyguard steps in front of the target, reaching beneath his tailored jacket for a holster. A live, immediate lethal threat. You cannot pull your own weapon. Firing a gun brings federal investigators, and the ancient thieves' code, the Ponyatia, strictly forbids drawing unnecessary heat to the syndicate. You close the distance in 3 steps. You drive the base of your palm directly into the bodyguard's throat, collapsing his trachea. He drops, gasping for oxygen. You grab the logistics manager by his expensive silk tie and hurl him into the stainless steel prep counter. You extract the signed transfer documents from his briefcase. You leave him trembling on the tiles. You walk out into the freezing night. The physical fear of catching a blade in an alleyway is gone. It is mutated. You are now consumed by the terrifying fear of failure. You understand that in this machine, you are only as valuable as your last successful collection. You are a human weapon, and weapons are immediately discarded the second they jam. Meanwhile, Sokolov reviews the security footage of the restaurant kitchen from a sterile, windowless office in the Lubyanka. He watches you collapse the bodyguard's throat with surgical, terrifying precision. He rolls the brass coin across his knuckles, coin over knuckle. No wasted movement, no firearm. He is learning the discipline of the code. Sokolov dictates into his encrypted terminal. He adds your grainy face to a sprawling physical corkboard. Level 3. Bike, the squad leader. You're 24. The suffocating, intense dry heat of the banya sears the inside of your nostrils. You are a bike, a bull. You have survived the kinetic meat grinder of the streets. You now command a crew of 12 heavily armed torpedoes. You have exactly 60 seconds. You are sitting naked on a wooden bench, sweating profusely. You are mediating a territorial dispute between two of your own soldiers over the revenue of a counterfeit electronics warehouse. If you do not resolve the tension in 60 seconds, the disrespect will escalate into a shooting war that will decimate your monthly quota. One of the soldiers, a hot-headed kid from the provinces, stands up and grabs a heavy glass vodka bottle, preparing to smash it over the other man's head. A live, volatile threat to your authority. You do not shout. You do not stand up. You reach out, grab the kid by the wrist, and viciously twist his arm backward until the shoulder joint pops audibly in the humid air. The bottle shatters on the wooden floorboards. We are not animals. We obey the law, you say, your voice dead and completely devoid of emotion. Volkov sits in the corner of the banya, the steam curling around his burn scar. He lights a cigarette with the chipped silver lighter. He nods exactly once. You enforced the code. You survived the mutiny, but your insomnia is chronic. You check the undercarriage of your Mercedes G-Wagon for explosive devices every single morning. You project an aura of absolute, impenetrable violence, but internally, you are walking a microscopic tightrope. Any display of weakness will result in your own men slitting your throat to take your position. The crown is heavy, and it is lined with razor blades. Meanwhile, Sokolov reads an intercepted medical report for a young male with a violently dislocated shoulder. He sits at his desk, staring at your photograph on the corkboard. He rolls the heavy brass coin, coin over knuckle. He is enforcing the hierarchy. He is a manager now. The muscle is becoming the brain, Sokolov writes. The net is expanding. Level 4. Brigadier, the captain. You're 31. The bitter, sterile smell of a corporate boardroom replaces the scent of the streets. You are a brigadier, a captain. You control the economic output of an entire industrial sector in Moscow. You have exactly 9 minutes. You are executing a hostile corporate takeover, a raider attack, on a massive, highly lucrative aluminum manufacturing plant. If the legitimate CEO does not sign the forged transfer of ownership documents before the bank's digital wire cutoff in 9 minutes, the $14 million acquisition fails, and the syndicate bosses will strip you of your rank. The CEO sits at the mahogany table, sweating through his suit. He reaches under the desk for a concealed panic button connected directly to private security. A live, catastrophic threat to the operation. You do not pull a gun. You step forward, pin his hand immovably to the wood with your own, and lean into his ear. Your daughter is currently walking home from her piano lesson on Tverskaya Street. Sign the paper. You whisper. The CEO breaks. He signs the document. The 9 minutes expire. The factory belongs to the Bratva. You walk out of the glass tower. You wear a $5,000 bespoke Italian suit. The Bratva is no longer a street gang. It is a shadow corporation that executes mergers and acquisitions at gunpoint. The fear has evolved again. You no longer fear physical violence. You are utterly terrified of the silent mathematical men above you in the hierarchy. You must feed the Obshchak, the communal syndicate fund, millions of rubles every month. If your ledger falls short, they will assume you are stealing, and you will be buried in a forest before sunrise. Before we go further, if you've made it this far, comment what career you want to see next. Hit that like button right now and subscribe. We upload every single day. Meanwhile, Sokolov sits in a black sedan outside the aluminum plant. He watches the CEO walk out of the building, weeping silently into his hands. Sokolov rolls the brass coin across his knuckles. Coin over knuckle. They are consuming the legitimate economy. They are no longer breaking windows. They are rewriting the corporate registry, Sokolov says. The warrants are drafted. Level 5. Smotriashchi, the overseer. You're 38. The heavy, rusted iron doors of the Matroskaya Tishina maximum security prison slam shut behind you with a resonant, echoing boom that vibrates in your teeth. You are not a prisoner. The prison is your kingdom. You are a smotriashchi, the overseer. The Russian underworld was forged in the freezing hell of the Soviet Gulag system. The prisons are the absolute beating heart of the Bratva. You have exactly 12 hours. A racial tension between two massive inmate factions threatens to ignite a full-scale prison riot. If the riot happens, the Oman will lock down the facility, permanently severing the syndicate's multi-million-dollar contraband smuggling lines. You walk onto the concrete exercise yard. A frantic, desperate inmate from a rogue faction lunges at you with a sharpened toothbrush handle. A live, lethal threat. You do not even flinch. 3 of your loyal soldiers intercept the man in midair, driving him face first into the frozen dirt. You are the supreme judge of the underworld. You convene a skodka, a council, in the corner of the yard. You listen to both sides. You apply the ancient thieves' laws. You dictate the terms of the truce. Your word is absolute, binding sovereign law. You control the flow of cellular phones, narcotics, and survival. You realize that you have more political power inside this concrete box than the prison warden himself. But the psychological isolation is crushing. The fear of betrayal is absolute. You are surrounded by 3,000 murderers, thieves, and psychopaths, and your entire existence depends entirely on projecting an infallible, terrifying aura of omnipotence. You sleep with one eye open, listening to the heavy breathing of the men in the dark. Meanwhile, Sokolov reviews a classified warden's report detailing the sudden, inexplicable cessation of violence in Matroskaya Tishina. He rolls the brass coin across his knuckles, coin over knuckle. He controls the inside. He holds the pulse of the camps. He is a judge now. Sokolov whispers. The hunter is waiting at the gates. Level 6, Pologenets, the Regent. You're 44. The sprawling, fortress-like mansion in the exclusive Rubliovka suburb is so quiet you can hear the snow hitting the biometric security cameras. You are a Pologenets. You are the regent. You are the direct, hand-picked representative of a crowned thief-in-law. You wield the power of a king, but you do not wear the crown. You have exactly 3 minutes. You are on an encrypted satellite phone, coordinating the wholesale smuggling of 4 tons of Afghan heroin hidden inside a shipment of Siberian timber destined for the port of St. Petersburg. If you do not transmit the reroute coordinates in 3 minutes, the Federal Customs Service will seize the containers. A red light flashes on your cryptographic terminal. A live, immediate threat. The FSB is actively attempting to trace the frequency. You do not panic. You switch to an analog, prearranged code language developed in the prison camps decades ago. You transmit the coordinates using archaic slang. The signal drops. The shipment clears customs. You generate $20 million in pure profit for the syndicate in a single evening. Volkov sits in a leather chair across the room, his voice a wet rasp as he tells stories of the old gulags. He lights a cigarette with the silver lighter. But you look at him, and you realize the terrifying truth. The old code is dying. The new generation of syndicate bosses doesn't care about honor, or the stars on the collarbones, or the prison survival laws. They only care about offshore accounts, cryptocurrency, and corporate leverage. You are managing an empire built on ancient blood, but the foundation is rotting from modern greed. Meanwhile, Sokolov sits in a server room, staring at a monitor displaying a failed cryptographic trace. He slams his fist on the desk. He picks up the brass coin and rolls it aggressively across his knuckles. Coin over knuckle. He used the old camp slang. He bypassed the digital net with analog ghosts. He is brilliant, and he is vulnerable. Level 7. Vor v zakone, thief-in-law. You're 51. The subterranean soundproofed room in a clandestine location outside Moscow is thick with the smell of expensive cigar smoke and old, dangerous men. You are standing in the center. You are about to be crowned. You are becoming a vor v zakon, a thief-in-law, the absolute apex of the traditional Russian underworld. You have exactly 5 minutes. You must stand before the Skadka, the Supreme Council of older crowned thieves, and flawlessly recite the history of your criminal career and swear absolute allegiance to the Ponyatia. If you hesitate, or if they sense a microscopic flaw in your honor, they will execute you in this basement. A rival thief, an old man with dead eyes, asks you a highly complex trap question about a hypothetical violation of the code, a live, psychological threat designed to strip you of your life. You do not blink. You answer with absolute, perfect, historical precision. The old man nods. You strip off your shirt. The specialized tattoo artist approaches you with a rudimentary needle. He permanently inks the sacred 8-pointed stars onto your collarbones and your knees, signifying that you will never bow to the state, and you will never get on your knees for any man. You are no longer a gangster. You are a sovereign entity. Your whisper can start a war that leaves 100 men dead across 3 time zones. But the crown is a suffocating curse. You are bound by laws written by dead men. The fear of betrayal is gone. You are now consumed by the absolute terror of becoming a monster. You must enforce draconian laws on your own men to maintain the illusion of your infallibility. Meanwhile, Sokolov watches a deeply covert informant's grainy video feed of the crowning ceremony. He watches the needle pierce your skin. He stops rolling the brass coin. He grips it tightly in his fist. He took the stars. He is untouchable on the street. Now we use the boardroom to crush him. Level 8. The choice. The crucible. You're 56. The panoramic view from your penthouse office in Moscow City overlooks the glittering, freezing capital. You sit at the head of a massive glass table. You have exactly 60 seconds. The new generation of syndicate bosses, the shadow oligarchs who control the banks and the cyber heists, have called a vote. Volkov, your mentor, the man who saved your life in the snow 41 years ago, has been disrupting their digital money laundering operations. Volkov refuses to adapt to the new corporate reality. He insists on collecting taxes physically, operating by the old street code. The new bosses want him eliminated. If you do not vote yes in 60 seconds, the oligarchs will view you as a liability, and they will freeze the global accounts, crippling your power and eventually orchestrating your assassination. A waiter pours you a cup of black tea. You notice the waiter's hand tremble slightly. A live threat. You know mathematically that if you vote no, the tea contains a lethal, untraceable neurotoxin. You look across the table at Volkov. His breathing is a wet, heavy rasp. He pulls out the tarnished silver lighter with the chipped Soviet star. He places it gently on the glass table. He does not ask for mercy. He knows the machine has evolved past him. He nods, exactly once. You close your eyes. You raise your hand, you vote yes. You authorize the execution of the only true friend you ever had in the underworld. You survive. You drink the tea. The fear of the machine is gone. You are the machine. You have sacrificed your own soul to maintain the structural integrity of a syndicate that has completely lost its honor. Meanwhile, Sokolov stands in a snowy alleyway in the industrial district. He looks down at Volkov's body. The snow is turning red. Sokolov kneels, searching the pockets. The silver lighter is missing. Sokolov rolls the brass coin across his knuckles. Coin over knuckle. He killed his own anchor. He fed his father to the wolves to keep the crown. He is completely, utterly alone. Execute the global freeze. Level 9. The oligarch, the untouchable. You're 63. The sprawling, ultra-modern villa on the artificial coastline of Dubai is a fortress of biometric security. You no longer wear the leather jackets. You wear a $15,000 Brioni suit. You had the prison tattoos surgically removed from your hands in Switzerland. You are an oligarch. You sit on the board of directors of 3 national banks. You have exactly 4 minutes. A frantic alert flashes on your secure terminal. Interpol, working in coordination with the FSB, has initiated a global freeze on your primary offshore holding accounts in Panama and Cyprus. If you do not transfer the $400 million reserve fund through a decentralized cryptocurrency mixer in 4 minutes, the empire goes bankrupt. You type furiously. A man dressed as a private security contractor steps into your office. You look at his boots. They are standard municipal issue, not the custom tactical boots your men wear. A live, immediate threat. An assassin sent by a rival oligarch. You hit a silent alarm under the desk. 2 of your actual bodyguards enter through the side door and execute the assassin with suppressed weapons before he clears his holster. You route the funds. The 4 minutes expire. The money is safe, but you sit in your leather chair, surrounded by blood and marble, vibrating with a horrifying realization. You command billions of dollars, but you cannot return to your home country. You cannot trust your food. You cannot trust your guards. The power you bled for is entirely digital, cold, and hollow. You are a king living in a gilded, terrifying exile. Meanwhile, Sokolov sits in his dark office in Moscow. He watches the digital trace of the $400 million vanish into the cryptocurrency void. He takes the heavy brass coin and places it carefully into a small velvet box on his desk. He locks the box. He moved the money, he survived the sweep, but he can never come home. He is a ghost. The hunt is over, Sokolov whispers. He turns off the lights. Level 10. The ghost? The black dolphin. You're 70. The absolute crushing silence of the solitary confinement wing in the IK6 penal colony, known globally as the Black Dolphin, is a sensory deprivation vacuum that slowly devours the human mind. The extradition happened in the dead of night. The oligarchs sold you out to normalize relations with the state. You are locked in a windowless concrete box for 23 hours and 45 minutes a day. You are not allowed to lie down during waking hours. The lights are never turned off. There are no corporate takeovers here. There is no billions of dollars. There's no obshchak. You sit on a small wooden stool, staring at the blank white wall. You hold the only contraband item you possess, smuggled through the archaic, dying network of the old camps. It is Volkov's tarnished silver lighter with the chipped red star. You trace your thumb over the cold metal. You realize the ultimate, agonizing truth of your entire existence. The Ponyatia, the sacred code you bled for, the code you murdered your only friend to uphold, was a brilliant, terrifying lie. It was a mechanism designed to control desperate men in the dark, and you fell for it, completely. You sacrificed your humanity, your country, and your soul to build an empire of ice, only to realize that the ice inevitably melts, leaving nothing but dirty water. The shadow corporation you built continues to thrive, completely indifferent to your absence. You sit alone in the freezing absolute silence, holding the silver lighter, waiting for a dawn you will never actually see. You built an empire of ice, and you froze inside it.